Namaskaram. Welcome to the last part of the webinar lecture on the message of Bhagavad Gita in the present context. Before I start with the prayers, I just want to make some introductory remarks. Bhagavad Gita is a very vast text with 700 verses divided into 18 chapters, and it contains a lot of message. And it is not very easy to put forth all the messages within 3 lecture sessions ranging from 30 minutes to 40 minutes. I have taken only a few of them which I consider having some immediate impact, particularly from the first 6 chapters of the Yoga of the Bhagavad Gita, which is considered as the Yoga Shastra. It ends with the first 6 chapters. Now I'll start with the prayers. Shuklam Bharadharam Vishnum Shashivanam Chaturbhujam Prasanna Dhyanayet Sarva Vignopashantaye Yasyat Viratavaktradyah Parishadhyah Parashyatam Vignan Nighnanti Satatam Vishwaksenantamashraye Jnananandamayam Devam Nirmalasphatiकाकृतिम् Adharam Sarva Vidyanam Hayagrivamupaस्महे Pundarikaasanasinam Pandurarbhendu Sannibham Akhandabhotajanakam Hayagrivamupaस्महे Gurubhyastadgurubhyascha Namo Vakamadhimahe Vrunimage cha tatradyo Dampati Jagatampati Krishna Suri Daya Patram Jnana Vairagya Bhushanam Srimad Venkatanathāryam Vandegam Yoga Deshikam Shri Krishna Vagisha Yatishwarabhyam Samprapta Chakrankana Bhashya Saram Srinutnarankentra Yatau Samarpitasvam Shri Krishna Mariyam Guruvariyamide Virodhe Kartike Mase Shatatara Kritodayam Yogacharyam Krishna Mariyam Guruvariyamaham Bhaje Samyajnaya Kalapena Mahata Bharatena cha Upabrahmita Vedaya Namo Vyasaya Vishnave Vyasaya Vishnu Rupaya Vyasarupaya Vishnave Namo Vai Brahmanidhaye Vasisthaya Namo Namaham Achaturvadano Brahma Vipahuraparo Harihi Aphalalochana Shambhu Bhagavan Badarayanaha Abhrashyama Pinkachata Baddhaham Ram Shurdhandi Krishna Mrigatvat Paridhanaha Sarvan Lokan Pavayamana Parashariyam Paramasurupam Vivrunotu Krishnam Kamalapatraksham Punyashravanakirtanam Vasudevam Jagatyonim Naumi Narayanam Harim Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Before I start with the message for today, sharing the screen with you, I want to talk a few things about this text, how they should be understood, the message. This text, as I told you, is a part of the great epic called Mahabharata, called Itihasa, The epic itself runs to 1 lakh verses, and it is authored by Vyasa. It is based on Vedic concepts. The Bhagavad Gita is based on Vedic concepts. It is called Iti Bhagavad Gitastu Upanishastu. It is considered as one of the Upanishads. Brahma Vidya, the highest, giving the highest knowledge. Yoga Shastra. So all that are found here is the essence from the Vedas, Upanishads. Actually, to take you back a little, Vedas are considered as the firm foundation of knowledge in the ancient India. Everything that is required was found in the Vedas, whether it is a knowledge of day-to-day life or for the emancipation. What is creation? How it has come? All the information are available in Vedas. But it is difficult to completely master the Vedas. One goes to the teacher to understand them. Upanishads gave the knowledge part of it, which is to give finally the emancipation. In fact, the Vedas are divided into Karma Kanda, which talks about various rituals which will bestow human beings with prosperity, wealth, happiness. And that's not enough because that is not a deliverance from suffering finally. So Upanishads gave the highest knowledge. That is why they are called as Vedanta, the final message of the Vedas. The Upanishads themselves, which are 108, 18, and 11, they are difficult to understand, and that is why we get Darshana and Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita gives the message. So there will be a lot of ideas about God, creation, based on the Vedic concepts mainly. We cannot avoid that. For example, if you take a darshana called Sankhya, which also gives its foundation to Vedas, there is no concept of God there. It's also considered as based on a Vaidika darshana. The moment we go to Yoga Sutra, we get the concept of Ishvara as the God, but a bit differently. So we must keep this in mind while we proceed. Let me go to today's talk. So what we have seen so far is Arjuna, who is in the battlefield, suddenly stuck with some mental problem, stress, on account of wrong compassion at the wrong place. He gets into the Vishada, a sort of a state of mind which is into total suffering, shoka. Now, why we took up? Because we are also into some state of stressed mind in this situation. What was the ideas given by Krishna, the teacher, could be of relevance even at any time, and particularly now. The first thing that we dealt with was death, and let not death be a great cause of worry, because Krishna says death is nothing but a passing phase, the soul never dies. From that we started, and that takes us to the idea of knowledge, Sankhya, Jnana Yoga, Buddhi Yoga. It's not that easy to get that for everyone. So he talked about Karma Yoga, and which we saw yesterday about the Karma Yoga. At the end of it, we also saw that the one, whether he takes to the path of Karma Yoga or Jnana Yoga, they reach the same path of Samadhi, a state of mind where there is firmness of wisdom and the mind is totally controlled. It is in a state of high calmness, and we called it as, Krishna calls it as Sthita Prajna. We looked at the traits of the Sthita Prajna, the need to control the senses, which is most important, and how it leads to the state of Vairagya, where detachment at 4 levels are taking place, and finally one reaches the highest state of detachment, leading to Samadhi. In fact, Yoga Sutra also says, Tat Vairagyadavi Dosha Bijakshaye Kaivalyam. The kleshas, the impediments are brought down with the highest state of detachment. What we need at this hour is that state of mind of detachment from unnecessary wandering of the mind and the senses, and that will unnecessarily lead to stress. Let us look at today's message. First, Arjuna's question is, if knowledge is superior to action, that is, jnana is considered. In fact, in 249, Lord himself says, this, if you consider that, why engage me in this terrible action, he says, of fighting? He says, you fight. If self-realization is the ultimate role of action, how to act, why to act, what should be the action? Krishna's reply is, there are two paths. Knowledge for the evolved people. In fact, the Jnana Yoga that is being talked about is the knowledge for the evolved. By nature, those who have by nature have the ability to control the mind and senses. And the action part is for those who are evolving. That's why I said the common man, common person. One does not attain knowledge by inaction. One does not reach the goal by just renunciation also. Renouncing actions, renunciation alone. In fact, in the 6th chapter, he says sannyasi and yogi are same. Sannyasi is not just renunciation of action, the one who has renounced the fruits of action, but not the action. None can remain inactive even for a moment, because the nature of the gunas acts on its own, unintended. That is to be known. So we need to direct the action in a particular way. Superiority of Karma Yoga, it is inferior to just try to control senses. With the mind uncontrolled, wandering behind the object. And this is a very beautiful idea that he talks about. So he says, trying to follow Jnana Yoga without preparation is what is not intended, what is not correct. Meditation without preparation, karmendriyani samyamya ya asthe manasa smaran indriyarthan vimudhatma mityacharaha sauchyate. Just thinking of controlling the mind without controlling the senses, or go for the mind control and then control the senses. So first go for the mind control, try to control the senses without controlling the mind, because mind is the master. Let me take a minute to explain. We have 10 indriyas, 5 karmendriyas, 5 jnanendriyas, through which we get information. Just behind that is the master called mind. They act independently, but they have a joining together. The indriyas, I told you very clearly yesterday, the indriyas can take away even for the wise. That is why he here says, you control it through the mind. The mind is to be controlled even by a subtler part called buddhi. These are all possible only through a process of pranayama and dhyana, and it is for those who have those who have got a higher evolved position. They can straight go for control of all the senses and mind through the buddhi, and they will be able to reflect, which is not possible for ordinary evolving people. It is superior to have the senses controlled by the mind and use the senses for action without attachment to fruit. Karma Yoga defined, Yatvidriyani manasa niyamya arabhathe arjuna karmendriyehi karma yogaha asaktaha savishishyate. Then he says, do actions which are obligatory. So I have enrolled, I have a duty to perform by my office. I joined. That is an obligatory duty for me. I have to take care of family. That is an obligatory duty for me. I'm a teacher, I have to teach. I'm a student, I have to study. So everyone has got an obligation by duty. Niyatam kuru karmatvam karmajyayoha karmanaha sharira yatra apichanate prasdidhi adhyeta akarmanaha. Even for the maintenance of the body, living body, for us, we need to act. That is most important. Now comes a wonderful idea of a concept called the yajna. Yajna is generally translated as offering, also as oblations, also I consider it to be a service also here. Yajna is a Vedic concept. It comes from the root Yeju Pujayam, Deva Puja. In the ancient days or even now, Vedic rituals are done with a fire and with mantra and ghee. An offering is done with the intention that it reaches a superior divinity. That's called the yajna. In the Karma Kanda part of the Vedas, a lot of yajnas are given. They are supposed to bestow the human beings with a lot of auspiciousness and prosperity. There are even yajnas for getting rain, etc. For the humanity's welfare at large, that is the idea. Now, in the context of Bhagavad Gita also, yajna is given a great importance. Yajna is to perform obligatory actions without attachment to fruits as an offering to Supreme Being. The question that arises is, I don't know yajna, sir. I have no idea about all these Vedic mantras. I don't know how to offer them. Can I not do an yajna? Yes, it is possible. The spirit of the yajna is more important. The spirit of the yajna is not to act in a selfish way, but to act in a way of, doing the duty without attachments to fruits. Yoga Sutra calls this as Ishvara Pranidhana, offering fruits of the actions and the actions themselves to Parama Guru, teacher. We had a question about God. Ishvara is considered as this teacher's teacher. Sayesha Purveshamapi Guruhu Kalena Anavachetat. In fact, it is the source of knowledge. It cleanses the yajna, the way of offering, cleanses the mind. Actions done without the spirit of yajna will bind one to the world. In fact, in Bhagavad Gita it says the very concept of creation is with the yajna. That's why I told you in Karma Kanda it comes. And sustenance by yajna. And the first creator, Prajapati, created the mind, created the mankind with the idea of yajna. He has given it. And he says multiply, and this will give you whatever you want. You will get it through yajna and fulfill your desires and live a life of happiness, peace, and all prosperity. Devan bhavayatadena te deva bhavayantuvaha parasparam bhavayantaha shreyaga paramavapsyata. The idea of divinity, devas, gods. In Vedas it is stated that even the great elements, there are powers behind it called divinities. The sun that we are seeing is the divinity, there is a divinity behind it, there is a divinity inside that. The divinity behind that is Aditya. It will bestow health, intellect, everything. So every one of the great forces are called as divinities, God. If you nourish them through prayers, through service, you will be able to, they in turn nourishes you. The need for communities present stage is concentrated action with one supporting the other, looking for the divine support through sacrifices. Now, various types of sacrifices have been given. Here, I'm just giving you from the 3rd chapter about how the idea of a cycle of life as seen in the Vedic concept is given here. It says actually from the food, it says, the sloka goes like this. Annat bhavanti bhutani parjanyat anna sambhavaha yajnat bhavati parjanyo yajna karma samudbhavaha karma brahmodbhavam vidhi brahmakshara samudbhavam tasmat sarvagatam brahma nityam yajne pratishtitam. Two of the slokas says, from food is created the various living beings, but the food itself comes from cloud, from rain, and the clouds are received from yajna, offering, and yajna is a karma, and that karma action is done by human beings through their body, senses and mind, which is supported by the soul. So that way, the human beings, there is a cycle here. And he says, maintain the cycle by doing yajnas. Yajnas, I mean again, can be done on the basis of the Vedic rituals, can also be done on the basis of a spirit of doing our work according to what is prescribed. If everyone does their work, but not for the selfish purpose, but for the purpose of the humanity at large, that becomes an yajna. Now, cherish the Vaivas with resources. They will cherish by providing the resources. Mutually cherishing leads to happiness. Give back and share. Devas satisfied through yajnas will give you desired objects. Enjoying without offering is like stealing, he said, present context. Eating the remnants of yajnas are freed from sins. Cooking and eating for oneself is considered as a sin, which is very important for us to understand. Now, I quickly talk about the Pancha Mahayajnas, which may be very relevant to us. People who often ask, I don't know the yajnas, how do I do? It is, our teacher used to say, just repayment of whatever we have received or we are continuing to receive. First we receive knowledge, let us do a thanksgiving every day to our teachers by remembering and reading them, whatever is read. Now even this, we can dedicate it to our teacher. The next is, there are forces which are given to us, but all forces cannot be, divine forces cannot be addressed. So address them to one God of your choice, and you can do prayers, you can offer flowers. Our fathers, parents, they are alive, then just serve them, or if they are not alive, just remember them by offering flowers and plants, animals, fellow beings. Every day we can do an yajna by doing an offering by way of thanking to them, watering the plants, giving something to the animals, and also taking care of the fellow persons. Various types of yajna, quickly. Some yogis perform sacrifices to devas alone, while others offer the self as sacrifice by the self in the form of Brahman. So this is typically Deva Archanam Yajna. This is for those who are able to go into that path. Offering the self as sacrifice by the self is to meditate on the self using the mind. That itself is considered as a yajna. Some again offer hearing and other senses as sacrifice in the fire of control, while others offer sound and other sense objects as sacrifice in the fire of senses. Here, Jnanendriya Niyamanam, put them under control. That is a way of yajna. Pratyahara. Pratyahara is considered as one of the tools in the Ashtanga Yoga. That is considered as an yajna. As we can see, every tool is considered as yajna, the way in which we are going to do the activity. The first is a small meditation or an offering at the level of Devatas. If one has got an Ishta Devata or a god of choice, they can do. If there is nothing, they can look into the highest inside and they can make a meditation. The next is about the Pratyahara. The third is some again offer all actions of senses and the functionings of the vital energy, prana, as sacrifice in the fire of control in self, kindled by knowledge. Karmendriya Niyamanam, another form of The first is Jnanendriya Niyamanam, Pratyahara, Karmendriya Niyamanam. Sometimes these all can also be done in the form of meditations themselves. So there are nyasas through which such meditations can be done. We can learn it from the teachers. I'm just bringing it out to say various types are available. Others again offer wealth, austerity, and yoga as sacrifice, while still others offer self-restraint and rigid vows, offer study of the scriptures and knowledge. So the teachers say dhanam, giving something, charity, tapas. We look at it in the Yoga Sutra, tapas, pranayama, naparantapaha, pranayama. Tirtha prapti, one can visit to various places. Now it may not be possible. So we will have to mentally visit, do a meditation onto places where we have gone. Swadhyaya, can do Vedic chanting. So the idea here is Vedartha Jnana Abhyasam. Now comes a very interesting and most important part of the yajna. Apane jukhvati pranam prane apanam tatha pare pranapana katirudbha pranayama parayanaha pare niyataharaha pranan praneshu jukhvati. This is the idea of pranayama which we will do today toward the end. Some sacrifice the inward breath in the outward breath, and others sacrifice the outward breath in the. One talks about there is a place called prana. Our chest is a place of prana. That is why the place itself is called prana. What is there is called prana. Below the chest, the abdomen region is called apana. And inhalation and exhalation in a particular way is what is being talked about. We will do that as a sort of practice today. Some others, stopping the flow of breath, inward and outward, sacrifice both the breath, inward, outward breaths. So this is the one that we will try to do today. Restricted diet is the most important point in control of breath. Now we go to Dhyana Yoga, which is one of the important parts. Well, before concluding the 6 chapters, Dhyana Yoga is considered as the most important part, which is also very important now. Shutting off outward contact, fixing the gaze between the eyebrows, equalizing inward and outward breath, moving in the nostrils. So pranayama, which we talked about, the correct technique, here it is followed with an idea of how to breathe in, breathe out, making equalize, called a samavritti in yogic terms, which will help in getting a preparation for that. Sparshan gritva bahin bhagya chakshushvayantare bhruvoh pranapano samau kritva nasabhyantara yatendriya mano buddhir munirmoksha parayana vigate cha bhaya krodho yaha sada mukta eva saha. Bhaya, krodha, those have been removed. The one who is controlled the senses, mind and intellect, who is intent on release of the final goal, freed forever from desire, fear and wrath, which are the most important thing now, is indeed liberated. Knowing me as the enjoyer of bhoktaram yajnatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram sukritam sarvabhutanam yatva mam shanti mrityati. Take me to be the ultimate who enjoy everything. That means whatever we offer it to the Lord. The Lord cannot be directly offered, so we can offer it to the humanity at large, the Panchamaha Yajna, which I told you. We can offer it in a way that it reaches the Lord, because Lord is the ultimate person who receives everything. Dhyana Yoga is not for him who overeats, not for him who fasts excessively, nor for him who sleeps too much, nor for him who stays awake. In the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, we got a good lot of information about how to do dhyana some preparations and precautions. Not just tastu yoghosti nataikantamanashnatha natati swapnashilasya jagrato naiva charjuna युक्ताहार विहारस्य युक्तचेष्टस्य कर्मसु युक्तस्वप्नवबोधस्य योगो भवति दुःखः. It becomes a destroyer of sorrow. Again, the message for us today now, who is temperate dhyana yoga, but it needs temperate moderation in food recreation. In fact, Bhagavad Gita gives a lot of idea about later about food. What is the right food? Satvika, Rajasika, Tamasika. Avoid Tamasika, Rajasika food. Food which is more than 3 hours cooked, stale, avoid. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita itself. Excessive activities have to be dropped down. Who is temperate in action, temperate in sleep and wakefulness, which is talked about even now, present context. Now, yata viniyatam chittam atmanyeva atmatistate nisprigaka sarvakamebhyo yuktayityuchyate tada. When the subdued mind rests on the self alone, then free from objects of desire, yearning for objects, one is set, the person becomes fit for yoga, dhyana yoga. The idea here is, it has to go into the state of ekagrata, one of the chitta bhumi. A lamp, yata deepo nivatatto nengate sopama smrita yogino yata chittasya yunjato yogamatmanaha. Make the mind steady, ekagrata, which is the most important prerequisite. It is done through asana and pranayama. Pranayama is the most important prerequisite. The mind does not flicker at all. Now, having established the idea of how one should be seated is given. Now, in the present constant, we have to take it in the way where we are seated. It is in a clean spot, a firm seat, neither too high nor too low. People use plank, etc. But those who cannot can sit firmly on a chair, covering it with cloth, deerskin and kusha grass, ancient according to text. We can have a clean cloth now. That is enough for us. Sitting with the seat, most important is how one should position. Tataiga grammana krutva yatachittendriya kriyaha upavishyasane yunjit yogam atma vishuddhaye. Sitting in the seat with the mind concentrated, holding the mind and senses in check, he should practice yoga for the purification of the self. Atma vishuddhaye. Samam kaya shirogrivam dharayan chalam stiraha samprekshanasikagram swam vishasyanavalokayan. Having the trunk, head and neck erect, motionless and steady, gazing at the tip of the nose, looking not in any direction, serene and fearless, senses firmly under control. Prashantatma vigatabhihi brahmachari vrite stitaha manasam yamyamachitto yukta asita matparaha. Serene, fearless, senses firmly under control, holding the mind in check, fixing the mind on me. He should sit in yoga, intent on me. So the first few parts is preparation. Serene and fearless. We should already have done preparations by way of pranayama, asana, so that the mind is and senses are under control. Pratyahara. As I told you, there are some ideas of pratyahara available where the breath can be taken to parts of the body, can be learnt under a right teacher. Fixing the mind on me, here Krishna tells Arjuna to fix the mind on him. That is, as I told you, one way of looking at it is fix the mind on anything of your choice, where other than objects, where you will feel happiness about it. For example, if you have gone to a place where in a nice place a full moon was seen and you are happy, you can even recall the full moon as an object, and that will also give you happiness. But one should be very careful in fixing the mind. Fixing the mind on him, why? We will see that Ever applying his mind in this way, the yogin of controlled mind attains the peace which is the summit of beatitude and which abides in me. That is what he finally, most important. Injene vamsadatmanam yogi niyatamanasah shantim nirvana paramam matsamattam adhigacchati. Why? Because Krishna says that is the place of God where it is totally peace. And it is beyond, that is paramam shantim nirvanam matsamattam adhigacchati. You will come to me. So if you want to get to that place of paramam shanti, you think of me, he says. And why focus on God? Krishna says elsewhere, he is the source of the universe. In fact, later he talks about the creation, how everything comes from him, and that means he is the one single cause. In fact, he says, whatever you see in this universe, mamai vamsho jiva lokaha, whatever, everyone is my amsha, a part of me. Everything comes from me, he says. If the cause is understood, the effect will become revealed. This is the most important point. The effect is seen. You can look at some effect of an object and you can understand the object, but if you understand the cause of it, the effect will become revealed. In fact, it is also stated in Vedic philosophy, karanantu dheyat. If you can meditate on the source of the universe, you will understand the whole universe completely. Now people are trying to understand what this virus is. They are going into that. First it was all only effect. Now they are going into the cause. And to find a vaccine, they are going deeper into the cause scientists are doing. It's the same way. It is in the same way that is being talked about. Knowledge reveals through meditation. It comes. Intensely looking into it. Sanyama, according to Yoga Sutra, is what will reveal. God can be seen in everything. So, with form, without form. He himself says, you can see me with form, without form, but it will be very difficult to meditate on me without form. You can look at me, all the things as me. That's also not very easy. Whole creation is me. You can look at everything, nature, and meditate on it as the supreme, as the creator, as the source of creation. It's also not easy. That is why certain forms are taken and forms are given. The idea of form is to fix the mind on it. In Yoga Sutra, in Ishvara Pranidhana, it says Om, Tasya Vachakaha Pranavaha, Tad Japaha Tad Artha Bhavana. The idea is you can bind the mind and bring it into one place only when there is a sound and a picture. These are the idea of ancient meditative model, but they are not only one. There are various models of meditation. It is easier with form. Practitioners choose according to their preferences. We will now do a meditation on Krishna. So I'm going to use the word Sri Krishna Gurave Namaha. But I have given the picture of our teacher Krishnamacharya, who also has the same name. So we can have his picture as a picture in the mind for those who belong to the tradition and who have great respect. For others also, it could be the same because I have talked about the teachings according to what we have received from our teacher. So we were going to do a very short meditation by repeating Sri Krishna Gurave Namaha. Prior to that, we will do the pranayama. Apane jukvati pranam prane apanam tata pare prana apana gadi ruddhaha pranayama parayana. That's what I told you. Now sit with your back erect, wherever you are. Keep one palm just on the navel. Keep another palm on the chest region. Supposing you kept your right palm on the abdomen, on the navel, and the left on the chest, right palm on the navel, abdomen, and left palm on the chest. Then the portion which has touched the left palm is the palm, that is, chest is the place of prana. The apana is just around the navel, below and above, particularly below. That is the place of apana. It is called apana region. What the energy there is apana. Apane juhvati pranam, pouring the prana into apana, that is inhale. So you start, prana cannot be handled directly, it is through the breath. Inhale, visualize chest to abdomen, and exhale abdomen to chest. So we will do about 5 breaths according to what is stated in this. We generally start with an exhale. Now right palm, start exhaling, slowly contract the right palm. That is, slowly contract the abdomen, the right palm goes in. It goes inside. Pause. Slowly inhale, start inhaling. Release your abdomen. From chest to abdomen, the breath goes. Pause. Second breath, exhale, contract the abdomen. Now from apana is pulled into prana. Complete exhale, pause. Inhale, visualize from chest to abdomen, prana to apana. Second breath. Third breath, exhale completely, follow the breath. Contracted abdomen, pause, inhale, chest to abdomen. Fourth breath, contract abdomen, apani, from apana goes to prana. Now start inhaling prana to apana. Into apana comes prana. Last one, exhale, contract abdomen, visualize air being taken out from abdomen to chest and goes out. Pause, inhale, chest to abdomen. Now drop both the palms on the knees. We will do another 5 breaths and do the same, but here gently exhale and inhale. At the time when you are exhaling, let your exhale be to the extent of Sri Krishna Gurave Namaha, which I will say you can mentally recite. Start, exhale, Sri Krishna Gurave Namaha. Pause. Inhale, Shri Krishna Gurave Namaha. Keep both the palms on the knee, rested, thumb touching the index finger rounded in Chin Mudra. Second breath. Exhale. Shri Krishna Gurave Namaha. Pause. Inhale. Mentally recite Shri Krishna Gurave Namaha. Pause. Third breath. Exhale. Mentally recite Shri Krishna Gurave Namaha. Pause. Inhale. Shri Krishna Gurave Namaha. Last breath, exhale, mentally recite Shri Krishna Gurave Namaha. Inhale, Shri Krishna Gurave Namaha. We will complete the pranayama. I just taught you a technique. In fact, if you want to do it with an yajna concept, we even do it that every exhale, we consider it as a surrender. Every inhale, we consider that we are moving towards the Supreme. There are various techniques used in this by visualizations. We just did one very basic pranayama on the basis of apani jukrati pranam, prane apanam tatapare, prana apana gadiruddhaha pranayama parayanaha. In the gadiruddhaha means to hold the breath. I have not used the hold here because we are not aware of the health status of a lot of people. Holding the breath either way needs an amount of practice. There complications could arise, particularly holding the breath after inhale. That is why the Gadiruddha holding has not been used. We will now complete our dhyana. I will recite slowly the mantra which you mentally start reciting and visualize either the form of the teacher in the heart, or those of you who can have the form of Krishna can do that, or simply a good light, Vishokava Jyotishmati, a light inside the heart, a glow. Shri Krishna Gurave Namaha. 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 Mentally recite for a few minutes. Make the mantra slowly fade in the background of the mind. Keep off other thoughts. Experience silence for a minute. Slowly start vibrating the mantra in the mind. Shri Krishna Gurave Namaha. Shri Krishna Gurave Namaha. Slowly open the eyes. This is just a very small practice, and I would like to end with a prayer asking for good health. Om Bhadram Karneभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः तुष्टुवागं स्वस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति न पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि। सर्वं श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु।